One of the questions that I have is, and I know later we'll get deep into the life of Dr. King, but you pastored Dexter Avenue out in Montgomery, Alabama, one of Dr. King's former churches. How was that experience of being able to stand where he stood, being able to sit in the office, study where he studied at?
It was a tremendous privilege. It was almost surreal, you know, when we got there. August of 1992, flew into Montgomery. Of course, we had been there several months prior to that, you know, to preach, just to visit the city and the people, but to actually pull in, to move into the parsonage where King, you know, and the King family lived, Coretta lived, where Yoki and, you know, the children were birthed right at 309 South Jackson Street. And then to pastor, you know, the folk that King pastored was absolutely, you know, amazing. It was a real privilege. And it really helped me to sense, you know, what that period was like, you know, having not, you know, lived through the movement, because I was, you know, too young. My dad was military. We were in and out of the country. But to, you know, be able to go to Montgomery and to actually sit with the people that he sat with and to move through the community that they marched through, you know, the bus boycott, and that thing was an absolute privilege.
Right. I know when we was talking, if you can elaborate on it, you was telling me when you first got to Dexter Avenue where Dr. King pastored in '92, you were saying they was having some kind of rally. I think you was telling, if you can elaborate, talk about that.
Yeah.
And the experience, because even though it was 40, 50 years ago, you still seen some racism in '92.
In 1992, August of 1992, we had just arrived there, and of course, again, you know, you could sense some of what King, you know, and our folk experienced that time. The Confederate flag was still flying over the dome of the Capitol when we arrived in 1992, and so that was an ongoing, you know, struggle there in the city to have that, you know, removed so that that environment would be more conducive to all the residents of the state of Alabama. And so the physical, you know, evidence or the vestige of the past was there, right? So every time we came out of the church, which was right across the street from the Capitol, you know, we'd have to look up and see, you know, the state flag, the Alabama state flag, and then the Confederate flag flying. And weeks into our arrival in Montgomery, we were setting up, you know, in our library, and we heard, you know, some commotion on the street just outside of the church. And, you know, I chatted with some of the folk inside the building, thinking it was a parade or something, you know, during the summer months. And, you know, with that, they told me to look out the window. I looked out, and of course, it was a Klan rally, the first I had ever witnessed. You know,
this was in '92.
1992, they had gathered on the steps of the Capitol. Ku Klux Klan, some of them, you know, from Florida and that sort of thing. And some, you know, a few were local, but they had gathered, you know, to state what for them, you know, was their legitimate protest and their discontent with America and the direction America was moving in. I had never seen anything like that in my life. It was absolutely astounding.